Hey everyone, Jamie Meloni, your host of the all-new That Business Show 2.0, where business becomes show business. Each morning we talk with different entrepreneurs and professionals, and we'd like to hear your story too. Visit tbsinterview.com and find out how to come onto the program. Also catch this show Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on TampaBayRadio.com. And please subscribe to us on iTunes and on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube over at thatyoutubechannel.com. And today's guest is D. Anthony Miles. He's the CEO and founder of Miles Development Industries Corporation and also author of the book Risk Factors and Business Models. And so we're going to be talking about what you need to know about starting a business and what some of those risk factors associated with starting these businesses are, and the different types of structures that you can start a business and what you need to know about this. So D. Anthony Miles, welcome to the program today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Jamie. I was looking forward to this today.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
So first off, before we get into the book, tell me just a little bit about your background and as a business owner.
Okay. I been a business owner a little over 7-8 years off and on, but I've gotten to my business more likely the past 4 or 5 years. I have a consulting practice. I have a unique business. I'm an advisor to high net worth individuals, and I do consulting with startups, and I'm a marketing and startup expert.
Okay.
I'm also an expert witness. Go ahead.
I was going to say, in business 7 years now. Were you an entrepreneur before that, or were you working the 9-to-5 schedules before that?
Before that, I was an entrepreneur, kind of doing solo projects and different things, and I did have a job. And I actually started my consulting practice while I was actually in school. So I saw a niche in the marketplace, and I went after it, and that's my story.
All right, and so now you're a consultant and the author of the book Risk Factors and Business Models. And so let's talk, about some of the takeaways from this book. First off, what inspired you to write this book? We talk a lot of times on this program with different professionals, and we like to inspire others as well. It's one of the goals of this show, and we always say write that book. It can really help differentiate yourself. Why did you write this book, first of all?
Actually, I stumbled on this book by accident. I was doing my doctoral work on risk factors that causes business failure, and I was actually doing some research on that. And what I found in my research, Jamie, was that there were virtually no books on entrepreneurial risk in the why high businesses fail. And I was surprised, considering a lot of people wanting to start their own business. You hear about the Facebooks, the Microsofts, the Apples, but if all of these people are starting businesses, why isn't anybody talking about risk? And if you go through most economics books, you might be lucky if you see a paragraph on risk. So most of the entrepreneurship books out there tend to be, I would say, positive, rose-colored glasses type of books, but they don't talk about the issue of risk. The word entrepreneurship actually is a derivative of economics. It starts in economics, and economics, entrepreneurship actually means risk, the risk of starting an enterprise.
Right, okay.
So when I saw that niche, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, are you associating then the word risk with how it relates to stock and bond investing and hedging a risk, and then correlating that to entrepreneurship and business risk?
No, not exactly. No.
Okay.
When you talk about enterprise, which is a term entrepreneur where it comes from, or entrepreneurship enterprise, there's a history on it from a guy named Richard Cantillon. I think he's French, and that's where the term comes from. And if you read some of his literature, he talks about starting a business is very risky because you're assuming all the risk, you're assuming all the market shifts or whatever. So that inspired me to write my book. And I will also, the personal story behind this was I was helping a young lady start a business. She went and bought a franchise. She bought like one of those cash and check places,
Right.
and did everything right. Did her market analysis, company provided support, and guess what happens? Walmart put the store right across the street,
Right.
and her business was gone within 6 months. And
Wow.
that was one of the inspiring issues that made me want to write the book. Why I see businesses fail like that. Didn't see that one coming. So, oh, absolutely.
So what are some of the entrepreneurial risk patterns then that can cause failure?
Okay. My book based on my research, and my research is based on the doctor work that I did on 500 small businesses. And there are basically 5 general risk patterns that entrepreneurs need to be aware of. There's personal characteristics, there's enterprise operations, there's intangible operations, then there's market climate, and then there's business environment.
Okay. And so you said
And each one of those 5 risks.
Yeah, you said personal characteristics. That was the first one, right? Personal characteristics?
Yes.
Okay, so personal characteristics as it relates to you personally or the business personally?
Well, personal characteristics, because you're starting a business, it was going to relate to you personally,
Okay.
like how much experience you have in the industry,
All right.
Gender, your age, ethnicity, education background. Most of the entrepreneurs that I researched, based on my research, most of them, I found that gender was not a factor in risk, and I also found ethnicity was not a factor. But what I did see that was risky was education level and age. And you probably say, well, why is that? Well, because the older you get more savvy in business, and you make better decisions in business as opposed to being younger. Experience in the industry was another risk, because you can't have people, if you're going to start a business in an industry in which you have no background or have never worked in the industry before, that's a significant risk. If you're going to start a business in an industry that you don't have any experience in, then you need to either partner with somebody or put some good advisors around you. So those were the 3, I think, personal characteristic risks that I saw that was a problem in the research.
Okay, so personal characteristics having to do with the age, the experience in the industry, and then the education that one has. So definitely affects the ability to succeed in your business. That's one of those entrepreneurial risk factors that if you're looking to start a business that you need to take a look at. And this book here, Risk Factors and Business Models, here authored by D'Anthony Miles, really takes on this concept of risk. And as you explained at the top of the segment, there's not a lot of books out there on business that really delve into the risk component of business out there. So what's the second component of entrepreneurial risk that you mentioned?
Okay, the second component that I talked about is called enterprise operations.
All right, explain this.
Enterprise operations, yes, enterprise operations deals with the functions of the business. Like, let me give you an example. Customer turnover, okay, velocity of profit. What that means is, and I'll give you those 2, the small on real, because this gets real technical. Well, what that means is when you talk about velocity of profit is how much money do you make quickly in the business, okay? Is the velocity of profit slow or is it fast? Case in point, if you have a government contract, especially with the federal government, and you're waiting to get paid and you can't pay the people who you have as subcontractors, because you're waiting on them paying you plus 90 days, plus 60 days, plus 30 days, that could severely affect your business operations. And a lot of people have been run out of business because they had government contracts that were structured like that. So when you say velocity of profit, how quickly you make money, that is a big key risk factor.
And you need to measure that against, I was going to say, you need to measure that against what you have saved or ability to cover that initial period of not making the money then, I guess, right?
Absolutely. And you see people all the time. I know here, I'm not sure about your state. You see people all the time that refuse to do government contracts because they don't like the way the government pays them. And they refuse. You can't run a business waiting to get paid plus 90 days unless you have, like you said, something in reserve to tie you in, but you really don't want to do that.
Right, right. I hear a lot of mixed emotions on government contracts. Some love them, some hate them out there. I myself never experienced working with government contracts directly. Indirectly, I do in my real estate business because I sell government properties, but the government contract is actually with the service, or I'm just one of their agents, so I work indirectly through them. So, but go ahead and continue that your point that you're making on the second risk factor.
Sure, and the second one is called customer turnover. What that's a metric is how fast you turn over customers in the business. And actually, this is another name for it. They call it customer batting average. Just because someone shows up in your establishment doesn't mean they buy anything. They just show up in your establishment. They can leave. Well, the theory behind customer turnover and customer batting average means is when someone comes into your business and they buy something, well, you hit a home run. You made a sale. They don't hit anything, well, that's a pop-up. So that's what you consider customer batting average.
Okay. All right. What is the third area then of entrepreneurial risk that you talked about just a moment ago?
Intangible operations, and that's a real critical one. Intangible operations talks about the legalities of the business, things that affect the business away from the operations, like is your name trademarked? Is your intellectual property of the business protected? Is the security issues of the business addressed, like your IT and those type of things? Those are what I consider intangible operations. There's great examples of that. Say you have a business name or a product, and one day you're doing your business and you get a cease and desist letter, and some company that you never heard of in another state says, I'm going to order you, or it'll be legal repercussions if you don't stop operations of the business with that business name. We will file a lawsuit. You didn't see that one coming. So you have to, trademark your business. You have to register the business. You have to make sure those things are in order with the Patent and Trademark Office in the United States. That's what you call intangible operations.
And again, currently talking to D. Anthony Miles, author of the Risk Factors and Business Models book. Learn more about him also at mdicorpventures.com. And again, we're discussing the 5 forces of entrepreneurial risk. And we just covered 3 of them, but we got to take a break. When we come back from a break, we'll cover the other 2 as well. And real quick, D. Anthony Miles, where can people get a copy of Risk Factors and Business Models?
Sure, you can go to Amazon.com and it'll come right up, and you can go to Barnes and Nobles. I believe they're selling it in Barnes and Nobles in the stores now. You can also go to my website, mdicorpventures.com, and I have a link to the book that'll take you right there, and you can purchase the book.
All right. Again, talking to D. Anthony Miles, author of the book, discussing the 5 forces of entrepreneurial risk. We got another couple to discuss when we come back from the break on That Business Show 2.0 with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring-type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Jamie Meloni back here for That Business Show 2.0, where business becomes show business. Talking with D'Anthony Miles. He is the CEO and founder of Miles Development Industries Corporation. Specifically, they're talking about his book today, The Risk Factors and Business Models, and understanding the 5 forces of entrepreneurial risk. And D'Anthony, we were talking about 3 of those in that last segment. Let's move on to that 4th risk factor, what it is, and elaborate on this, please.
The 4th risk factor is one of my favorite ones, if not the favorite one. It's called market climate. And a lot of entrepreneurs tend not to pay attention to market climate. Market climate means how saturated is the business, how saturated is the industry with that type of business that you're trying to start. And under that, Jamie, there's something called commodity type businesses. A commodity type business is the riskiest type of business to start, because what that means is, for people that not learned about business terminology, what that means is that if you have a commodity based business, that means you have a common product that's really not differentiated, and the product can be sold by anybody, and the product doesn't have any brand strength or anything. It's just a regular product. Like, think of it like this. Everybody sells corn, right?
Mm-hmm.
What makes your corn? Why would I want to buy your corn as opposed to someone else's? Because corn is corn.
Right.
Well, it's a commodity. So we have to compete on price. So most of the time when you start a commodity-based business, you're already starting off on the left foot. You have to compete on price, on the basis of price. And that's a big problem. So you have other issues, like the allegory I like to use for market climate called Mr. Market. Mr. Market is a allegorical figure that tells you if it is right time for you to start a business. And many entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, really ignore the theory or the wisdom of Mr. Market. Mr. Market is going to say to you, well, you want to start this business. Mr. Market is going to say, no, you're not ready. The market is not right. And most of the time, when people want to start a business, they do not heed the advice or the wisdom of Mr. Market. And they start a business, and it's a market misfire, and they fail.
Right.
And the worst thing that you can do when you start a business is have a misfire in the market, or misjudge the marketplace, because the marketplace is merciless. That's why they call it social Darwinism, the survival of the fittest in the business world.
Yeah, there's no mercy out there. Yeah.
It's no mercy. And like the example I alluded to earlier, Jamie, with the lady that had the franchise, she had backup. She did everything right. Then Walmart moved across the street. That happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be very strategic when you start a business. So that's why market climate is key. Market climate is probably one of the most important out of the 5, maybe first. The first important is market climate. So that's what market climate entails in terms of risk.
All right, let's move on to number 5 again, the 5 forces of entrepreneurial risk. What's number 5 again, and elaborate on that one?
Sure. Number 5 is called business environment. And what that has to do with is, where is the business located? Is the environment right for business? And is the business vulnerable to extreme weather conditions like snow, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, tsunamis? You can't run a business when you have extreme weather conditions like that, because if the weather is that extreme, you're not going to have customers patronizing the business, and therefore the business is going to experience a loss and maybe ultimately failure. And you see examples of all that every day, especially extreme weather conditions that's going on now on the East Coast. People don't buy things from businesses where it's hard for them to do business with you. So if there's snow involved, well, people say, well, do I eat or do I go patronize that business?
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be, unless you're a business that has to, you have repeat traffic, that people need your product, your service, it's really, really difficult for that. So you also have another issue with security. Is the business located in a city or area that's vulnerable to terrorism? Terrorism is a big deterrent
Mm-hmm.
to businesses being successful, especially if you're in the tourism industry. And if your city or wherever your business is located is vulnerable to terrorist activity, that could be a significant risk factor to your business.
Which
and
of
also
these?
another one would be.
Go ahead. No, I'd say go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say also another indirect piggyback on that one would be something called traffic patterns. If your business is not located near an economic anchor, like a mall a sports complex, a sports arena, or a military base, or a school or university, it's very, very difficult for you to maintain a business profitability because you're not getting spillover from those economic anchors.
Right,
So
right.
where your business is located and the environment is very critical to being the business being successful.
Which of these five entrepreneurial risk factors first off, do people have the most control over, and which of the ones do they tend to ignore the most and then cause strife in their business?
Oh, Jamie, that's a great question. I would say you probably have control over probably most of them, maybe 4 out of the 5. You can't control the weather. We just talked about that. However, you can control, if you don't, like I was saying to you earlier, Jamie, if you say the personal characteristics, if you don't have the background to be in that industry, what should an entrepreneur do? You should get your circle of competence around you. That means any gaps in your knowledge about something, you fill that gap in your knowledge by hiring somebody or outsourcing that part of it so you can protect yourself. Like example is, if you're not good at taxes, hire an accountant, right?
Right.
If you're not good at making money or having access to capital, then get you a banker or get you someone that can get you access to capital. So those personal characteristics, you can always counteract those by making, prudent business decisions. Most of these, the great thing about my book, Jamie, is this. All of these things can be prevented because my book is a wake-up call. And I always give this mantra when I talk to people about my book. All businesses are guilty until proven innocent. Okay?
Right.
Your business is guilty if you don't make any money, you're not making any profit. So your business is guilty until proven innocent, and you're ultimately guilty. So that's what I say. All of these risk factors can be rectified if you do what you're supposed to do and make sure you pay attention to, especially market forces.
So how can you help entrepreneurs minimize and prevent the business risks, which may lead to failure then personally?
Oh, personally, I would say what I would tell people is, first thing, I've probably done this before, and I'm probably guilty of doing it. I feel like a psychologist and a therapist. I say, why do you want to start a business? And a lot of times I can tell by the answer they give me if they're ready to go out and start their own business, because there's something called employee thinking. You can't think like an employee and try to start a business because you're not going to get paid every Friday. You're not going to get paid every 15th and the 30th. Okay? So when you have someone with an employee mindset that tries to start a business, you're going to have to detox them. You're just, literally having a job is literally like having a babysitter, right? Having a parent, because you know where you're getting your income from every week or every 2 weeks or whatever. So what I tell people when I talk to them, I say, okay, why do you want to start a business? Most of it is they're mad because they're mad at their boss because they don't like their job. They don't like that. So, okay, that's really not a good reason to start a business. You should start a business because you see an opportunity to make money.
Right.
So what I try to do is get them to pivot their thinking, go from making it a negative mindset to a positive mindset. And I use an analogy like this. So how much money did you make for your boss? Well, I made him 10, 15 million. I said, maybe what if you took that money and made that for yourself? Oh, wow, I didn't think of it like that. So yeah, so really, I have to get people to pivot their thinking. You got to think like an entrepreneur to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur sees opportunities before everybody else does.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of times,
I was going to say that's a takeaway from your book I've been reading recently, Michael Gerber, The E-Myth, is a lot of people, go into entrepreneurism with that employee mentality, and they go in there and they treat their business, just like they treat a job. And you're right. I mean, that's a point you're bringing up right here, and it's an excellent corollary to that book that I am reading right now. Very popular book out there, by the way. Michael Gerber's
great book.
E-Myth. Yes, absolutely.
Every entrepreneur should have that book in their library, because a lot of people think entrepreneurship is easy. It's not. It's very hard.
Right.
You have to be when you're an entrepreneur, Jamie, you're actually being a rebel. You're going against conventional wisdom. And there's always going to be somebody to tell you can't start your business. It's not a good time. There's always going to be somebody to tell you to stay at your job and just work a little bit harder and get along with your boss. But opportunities come and go. Opportunities are all around you. And the entrepreneur is the guy who sees those opportunities and wants to take advantage of them. It's really hard to be an employee and see opportunities. The only opportunity that an employee sees is the opportunity to get promoted, which is the triangle thing.
Mm-hmm.
Only the few are going to get promoted, and as you go up the ladder, the opportunities get smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurship has to be something people have to be enthusiastic about.
Yeah, absolutely. And the key takeaway from that book, the E-Myth, is like a lot of people go into entrepreneurship and all they're doing is just creating a job for themselves. And you got to think like an entrepreneur. And so that's one way that you help your clients, I can hear from this interview, is you break them of that employee mentality. And your book here, Risk Factors and Business Models, is all about getting entrepreneurs to understand there's 5 forces of entrepreneurial risk. Got about a minute left. You've worked with a number of different professionals. What's the one thing that you've noticed through all the different professionals that you work with that makes them successful?
I can tell you this in one sentence: the ability to know when they're wrong, and the ability to listen to people that are smarter, and ability to make decisions based on good people they have around them. That's the only difference between a rich guy and a poor guy. He has good advisors around him. He listens. Very
good point, and a very simple one right there. And so a great discussion. Mr. D. Anthony Miles, greatly appreciate you being with me this morning. And people can pick up a copy of your book over at mdicorpventures.com. Again, Risk Factors and Business Models, and learn more about these 5 forces of entrepreneurial risk. So D. Anthony Miles, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jamie. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
And again, you can catch this show Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. at TampaBayRadio.com. And please subscribe to us on iTunes and find us over at thatyoutubechannel.com. And to come onto the program, please visit tbsinterview.com for more information. You've been listening to That Business Show 2.0 with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products: hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
everyone, Jamie Meloni here, host of That Business Show 2.0, where business becomes show business. Today, I'm in studio with Donna Zappa, and she is the founder of the Zen Den, a detox system that she's going to be talking with us about today. She's also a member of the Tampa Bay Business Owners, our local business network, where local professionals get together once a month and with collaborative and educational events. And I'd like to invite you over to tbbo.org to learn more about that. So, Donna, welcome into the program today.
Thank you, Jamie. It's good to see you.
So, first off, tell us, Zen Den, what is this program?
Zen Den is a 10-day IV drip for detoxing from alcohol or prescription drugs.
Okay, is this different than the I guess the traditional detox methods that are on the market now? You hear a lot about what's the methadone that's out there for people that are suffering from addiction. How is this compared to what's on the market today?
Well, methadone and Suboxone are like a maintenance program, so you have to continue to take that. They try to just make that for a short term, but people actually kind of get, it's another substitute. It's more, they get addicted to that.
Okay, so Zen Den, is this a holistic, natural approach?
This is all natural.
Okay.
It is a coenzyme that's in every living cell of your body, and we're just replacing that because people become deficient, and so that's part of the cause.
Now, you use the term coenzyme. Explain to people what the role of the enzyme is.
Well, the enzyme gets into the cell, into the mitochondria, and it actually heals it. So when you heal these cells and when you're healing the brain, because it's an IV, it's going into your vein, in through the brain barrier. So it floods the brain with this coenzyme. And that goes to all parts of your brain, and it heals what needs to be healed.
Okay, and so this is a program that lasts fairly, I mean, it's not a long drawn out program.
It's only 10 days.
10 days.
10
and
days, yes.
It treats all forms of addiction, from drug and alcohol to other forms of addiction as well. I mean, is addiction in general?
It works. Most addictions are in the same neurotransmitters, the dopamine receptors, the serotonin, the glutamate. So it goes to all these receptors, but it does really work well with alcohol and with prescription drugs.
Okay, so tell me the history of this program and how you found this.
Well, I was in the treatment industry for about 8 years, and I was always looking for a better way. I had heard about this at a convention, that there was a Dr. Hitt in Mexico that was using amino acid therapy. We do give the clients amino acids, and but that wasn't all that it was. Dr. Hitt wasn't very explicit about what he was doing, but it was NAD. And he was having great success with this, and so I became very interested, and I got on LinkedIn, and I found Mike Sanders, who actually opened a clinic to do this in the States. There was, at the time, I think, one other psychiatrist that was doing it. So I was just in awe by this, you know, like I saw so many people struggling to stay sober, and basically what we were doing was just talking to them and trying to change their diets and whatever modalities we could think of to help them.
So as it relates to you as a business, is this a consulting program that you put them through? Do you put them in a medical facility and oversee it? How does it work then?
Well, I decided that I was going to make it as simple as possible for the client. I decided to do it in-home and make it very discreet so that a person could take off a week and use 2 weekends, and they can come back to work, and no one would really even have to know that they were in a treatment.
Okay. All right. So they're not going to a treatment facility, a typical one. They can come. Do they come in and out of your home? They come for the day.
They don't come to my
leave?
home. I can go to their home.
Okay, so you go to them, so it's in the comfort of their own home, and so they're not confined to a space. So take me through the steps of this program on day one after they've signed up for the program. What's step one? Step
one was they see the doctor. This is all done under doctor supervision. They see the doctor, have a basic physical. They have blood tests drawn, and then we start them on we order the script. The doctor writes the script. We order that from the compounder, and then we start the IV the next day.
Okay, and so they just have to remain set it over, or not set it over, but it's stationary in a bed, so to take the
They
IV?
don't, well, if I did it myself. So I did a short anti-aging program, and I could walk around, depending on how fast you want to get through it. I was kind of like pushing through, so
Right.
I just sat there still and let the drip, because the drip will fluctuate, if you're moving around. So I did it pretty intensely. But yeah, they can probably after the third day, if they're an alcoholic, they're not going to feel really great those few days. But towards the third, fourth, fifth day, they're starting to feel really good.
And so the drip, if you sit there and watch TV while the drip is
Yes.
going, how long before the IV part's done, you can take the needle out or whatever?
Probably between 6 to 8 hours.
Okay, so it's a
Yeah.
time-consuming
It's
process.
time-consuming.
Okay,
yeah.
and so that is that enzyme that you mentioned earlier being introduced back into the blood flow and up into the brain that's
Right.
then fixing all that addiction mentality that is going on inside the brain. And you said it's a 10-day treatment process?
It's generally 10 days. Sometimes opiates take a little longer, and we test, to see if that's all out of their system, and it could be up to 13 days.
What is is there numbers on the success rate of this, and how is success measured? Is it measured in terms of how long they go without, consuming alcohol again? Somebody may go a year or two, then go back to it again. I mean, I understand how addiction is. You're never really free of addiction. At least that's what they say. How do you measure success?
Well, they measure it. We measure it by taking down information along the way of critiquing how they feel, and at the end how they feel, and the people that have been doing, the doctors and the clinicians that have been doing this, have kept pretty good statistics, and they have found that cravings have been reduced by 85%. Now that's huge, because craving is what it's all about, So if you don't have that craving anymore, and you have brain clarity, and you have a feeling of well-being, the likelihood of you relapsing is a lot slimmer.
How is the medical community and the medical professionals that you've talked to about this receiving, or how open are they to this treatment method versus the traditional methods that are on the market?
Well, most of the doctors that I have talked to and I'm working with, they're more into the integrative medicine. And so they're very open to this. It's all natural. It's when they look up the literature, because there is a lot of information online about this that goes way back 30 years. They knew about this. AA, Bill, they knew about this.
Right.
And they didn't know that you could do it intravenously, but they knew that the NAD was a key factor in helping people recover.
So are people that can benefit from this, not only the people suffering from addiction, but medical professionals that are watching this? Are these the types of people that you want to reach out to as well?
Yes, I mean, I think that anyone that has patients that are struggling with some form of addiction, that this would be a real option for them.
Okay, and again, it's a 10-day treatment. You can knock this out in the comfort of your own home. She comes to you, puts you on an IV drip, 6 to 8 hour sessions at a time. Is it 10 days straight? Same procedure each day?
It is, yes. That's when they've gotten the best results, by not breaking it up.
Okay. And what about the role of, support system? Even after that 10 days, do they feel like a brand new person? I mean, do they need to kind of go to the AA meetings and still have that support system? The way I understand addiction, fortunately, I'm not, an alcoholic, so I can't speak from experience, but it's something that is always with you, they say. It's something that you're never really cured of.
Well, the people that have gone through this, they say that they've felt better than they have maybe even before they started addiction, because there's a reason why everybody does. And so, yeah, they do need to we do have part of our program is they will get coaching or counseling, depending on.
Okay, so they got a support system built into this as well.
Right.
So friends and family being a supportive or part of that system, but then also your program then incorporates even more, thus helping out with the success of the program. Now, with the other drugs that are out there and alcohol and everything, you said it works best with alcohol, but do people with cocaine, heroin addiction, all that?
It works really well with both, but alcohol seems, I don't know why. Well, the good thing about with the alcohol is because when people withdraw from alcohol, it can be pretty overwhelming.
Right.
So it's a much more comfortable withdrawal, And they start to feel better so much more quickly that they're encouraged to keep doing it.
Is there a certain point in addiction to alcohol to where a system like this is not going to be effective? Maybe they're just so far along to the point that, that you see the mental illness inside of them. I guess that's at a point to where there's probably a point of no return, but talk to me about, at what stage this could be effective.
I think it could help anybody at any stage. Not everyone is going to come out, exactly the same. And everyone has different problems. And so those would have to be addressed outside of this. But the good thing is typically the treatment industry talks while they're trying to get you off of the medication. And even substituting a medication that helps you feel more balanced to bring you to that state of, copacetic. But what happens is the talking, they can't even really hear you. They can't comprehend, their cognitive ability has been damaged. So anyone can benefit from this.
What about cigarette smokers? Does it work with cigarettes?
It does help cigarette smokers. I had one client, she said, well, I could have stopped smoking, but I chose not to.
Right.
So, it's all about choice.
That's some of my experience. I used to smoke. I quit about 10 years ago, cold turkey. I never really felt an addiction to cigarettes. It was more of a societal and friend thing that they did. And when that phase of my life ended, I quit cigarettes and stuff. So fortunately, I think certain people experience addiction, certain people don't. That's just me personally. Right. But I can only measure myself. I'm only one person. So currently talking to Donna Zappin. She's the founder of the Zenden 10 Days to Freedom Detox System. Learn more about this at zenden.com. That's spelled ZHENDEN. And I heard you mention anti-aging, so I want to talk a little bit about that when we come back from the break. And currently you are listening to That Business Show 2.0 with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products: hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Jamie Meloni here, back, host of That Business Show 2.0, where business becomes show business. Talking about a detox program here, 10 Days to Freedom, the Zenden system by founder Donna Zappin. Learn about this at zenden.com. And Donna, in that last segment, we were talking about how this program benefits people, suffering from alcohol addiction or drug addiction, even cigarette addiction. But you also, I heard you mention in there anti-aging. Does anti-aging come into play here somehow?
Yes. Well, since it heals all the cells in your body, so why wouldn't it be good for anti-aging? So if I did it for 4 days just to see what it felt like, and if I would gain more clarity. I mean, I'm still not that good at Jeopardy, but
Didn't help the Jeopardy,
it wasn't
though.
a miracle, but I do feel like it did have some help. But I don't know what it's doing on the inside. That's the whole thing.
So are you marketing this product to people for anti-aging benefits as well, or are you mostly
Well,
just
it's
going
just a little side thing if they want to do it for anti-aging. Since I know some of my people my age, I said, yeah, you can do it for anti-aging, because it does get into the mitochondria and it regenerates those cells.
And what is this, what is the IV composed of? You mentioned an enzyme, but I mean, is this a proprietary product that you don't really know what's in it? I mean, do you know what people
I know
are
what's
putting?
in it, yes, and it's a protocol. It's different for each different problem. So it's mostly we give them amino acids and other
So the
minerals.
components of the drip is different depending on what it is that you're suffering from. It's not the same chemical
It's
or
the same chemical, but in different
proportions then
yeah.
at this point. Okay. So why is the medical community then not adopting this more and more? Why have we not heard about the Zenden system? You said this has been around for 30 years, and I know the medical establishment is, just has it in their best interest to not support, the holistic approaches.
Right.
To a lot of different treatments, but what are you hearing from the medical community?
Well, I guess when it started out, Dr. Hitt was working for the World Health Organization, and he and this other scientist, they discovered it, or they read about it, because that was like in the 70s. And at that time, methadone came on the market. So methadone makes a whole lot more money than this does. So everybody jumped on the methadone bandwagon. Well, Dr. Hitt decided to go to Mexico and just do his own thing. That's kind of where it stopped, Is
methadone used in all forms of addiction, from
No,
alcohol?
no.
And is that just for the opiates?
Mostly for the opiates, and it's a routine. You have to keep doing it.
So how is alcoholism treated? Is there a certain drug that people go and get
Well,
put on?
there are different things that there's one medication, I'm not sure, the naltrexone or something, that if you drink when you're taking that, it makes you sick.
Oh, okay. So it's it works kind of on a different level. Then it's it doesn't really doesn't cure the problem.
No.
It just gives you another reason not to drink there
Right.
by just making you sick then and stuff. Because addiction is a challenge because it's something that's going on inside of your brain,
Yeah.
and the brain's the most complex instrument known to man. And so how do you rewire? How do you manipulate to that brain? And so with your approach here, it's all about these enzymes going in there and I guess rewiring the brain?
Well, it heals NAD it creates a neurotransmitter. A neurotransmitter is this that goes between neurons. Okay, so it's what sends the messages. So we have dopamine transmitter or neurons, serotonin. They all get really damaged because drugs, opiates, and that hit those receptors and cause this artificial type of euphoria.
Right.
I mean, we all have dopamine, we all have serotonin. Some people have more than others. And that's why some people are really happy and some people aren't. But when you keep abusing those neurons, they get damaged. So they need to be healed. And pretty much the way that we found to heal them was with NAD.
What about addictions to non-chemical substances such as gambling or pornography addiction, sex addiction, all those things? Do those addictions work in the same way as an alcohol?
They do.
Or so would this program benefit those forms of addictions as well?
They say that it does. I don't have that experience. There's not much literature, or the people that are doing this protocol haven't focused on that as much. But when you gamble, you're hitting those same receptors.
Right.
So it's causing the same type of, it's kind of like you could relate it to adrenaline. You know, when you use up all your adrenaline, you know, you need more, you know, fight or flight. But if you're constantly, that's what happens with PTSD, which this does work very well for, because you're constantly wearing out that adrenaline, you know, that you're always on that fight or flight mode. And so you wear out that neuron.
Now, you mentioned PTSD. That's obviously a big problem that's
Yes.
just come to the forefront over the last couple of decades. Something the soldiers have suffered with, you know, for all throughout our wars. That seems to me like an excellent opportunity
It
for
is.
this to be
It
marketing.
really is.
I would promote that a lot too. So, talk to us about you know, what you've seen with regard to working with the soldiers and implementing this procedure.
Well, that's another, you know, facet that I want to get into. But the problem with the PTSD is often they are also on antidepressants and all kind of other drugs that cause the same problems that, say, opiates may cause, you know, because they just can't find that balance. So this would remove all of that and start over. And
Now, you mentioned that PTSD is related to depression and anxiety then. So what about people that are suffering from depression and anxiety? Is then the 10-day system something that people in that realm would also benefit from?
yes, they would.
So how is depression then and anxiety and addiction, are these all playing on the same area
Yes,
of the brain then?
they
Can you
are.
explain this a little bit for us?
Well, like I said, there's those neurons that are transmitting those neurotransmitters through the synapse between the two neurons, and they need to have dopamine and serotonin. And when you get low on those, it causes depression, anxiety, you know. So this is all working on those same receptors.
And so why are some people just naturally addictive to things and others aren't? I don't think, other than food addiction, I don't really think I've ever experienced, you know, addiction. I'm a big proponent of food addiction. I tell people all the time, I have problems losing weight because, you know, I see the nice little healthy meal and I want the crack, you know, I want the fast foods and everything. I can't
Right.
overcome that and everything. So other than that, I've never really experienced any type of an addiction problem. What is it about some people that they're easily addicted to things and other people that are not?
Well, what I've read through this NAD literature is that just some people may be more deficient in the NAD and more
It's just as
susceptible.
simple as that right there.
It could be. You know, it's everybody, we're all trying to figure out exactly why some people, you know, there have been Vietnam vets, they tell the story that, you know, so many of them did heroin and all kinds of drugs during that war, and they came back and they weren't addicted. And then, but some came back and they were.
Right.
You know, so what makes that difference? They were all in the same situation pretty much. What made the difference?
I wonder if your program would work on food addiction. I can't overcome food addiction. I don't know what it is. I could not turn away from, you know, just the fatty foods and the sugars and the salts and everything. It's just, it's a problem. I blame that more so than on the other factors out there. Is food addiction is my problem out there and everything. Can you share with us some like success stories of people that you've worked with or that you've seen come through the Zenden system?
Yeah, I had, there's been several that I know, you know, personally. One gal, she had a lot of money. Her family, her grandpa left her a lot of money, and she was just totally addicted. You know, she just couldn't control it. And she worked with a friend of mine that was doing therapy with her. And finally, my friend says, you know, you're really going to have to go see Donna because I can't help you anymore. You know, this is not going anywhere. And like I said, when you're trying to talk to that addicted brain, you're not getting through. So,
do you notice a change in their personality at the end of the 10 days too? I mean, people that are addicted, they gotta, I mean, that's the forefront of their daily routine. You know, what do you notice in 10 days?
They're happier. They're, this gal, she just called me and she goes, oh my gosh, I feel like I did when I was, you know, a kid. And not so much all the physicalness, but just the mental clarity. She said, probably before I ever started doing drugs, this is how I felt. She said, I have energy, I get up in the morning, I'm not depressed. she had all these ideas, things that she was going to do, and she goes, I haven't been like that in years. And so it's pretty remarkable.
The first few days, I imagine, combative, moody, a little hard to deal with. Do you have people that just can't get through that 10 days and they just crash and burn immediately? Is that part of the problem too?
Part of the program is the nurses that I hire are empathetic to addiction. So they know that they have to work with that person through that 8 hours of being hooked up to a line.
Right.
So they do a lot of talking, or they let them rest and sleep first couple days. I have hypnotherapy, a gal that comes in and does hypnotherapy.
Could somebody do the drip while they're sleeping at night, or do they need to be awake?
You know, I asked Mike Sanders that, and you could, except that you have to monitor the drip. So it would be an uncomfortable.
Okay, so it's advisable.
If you were in a hospital setting, you know, when you have an IV drip for 24 hours, there's always someone coming in monitoring it. But that generally you're not. In the beginning, you have some uncomfortable feelings, so it'd be pretty hard to sleep through it.
What about insurance as it relates to this program? Does traditional insurance cover this form of addiction treatment, or is this something that's
This is a self-pay program, but we do introduce them to an advocate that will, when we supply them with a super bill, then they can submit that to their insurance companies, and often they're reimbursed for a good portion of it.
All right. Well, good discussion today. Donna Zappin, founder of the Zenden 10 Days to Freedom System. Learn more about this at zenden.com. That's ZHENDEN.com. Or give her a call at 866-320-8381. Again, 866-320-8381. You've been listening to the all-new That Business Show 2.0 with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.